having to change your mindset from, future to, oh, I'm actually in this moment and nothing actually exists yet. Let me just listen. But, and I love that phrase, tell me more, because you learn how to do that with other people. And then what about yourself, right? Because it's like, learn how to listen to yourself, because here's the thing is we go through life, we never listen to ourselves. My life changed whenever I started a journal practice, because I don't like to acknowledge feelings much. And so I had to say, today I feel like, and boom. And then if you get stuck, hey self, tell me more.
The biggest unlock for me, Meg, as a person in a relationship is you don't wait for the other person to do it. Like, you just don't wait for your partner to pay more attention to you. Pay more attention to yourself.
Yeah. It sounds so selfish, but it's not, so the stigma around doing things for yourself, right? Especially I know there's a lot of people out there who are very much like you, very much like my friend, who it's like everything for everybody else. Let me just, and that gets to be a lot, right? There's a lot of underlying stress that gets missed and, even just kind of like stuffed down and ignored, because it's like, I want to tend to everybody else. Right. And because it's selfish to tend to myself. Right. And then what happens is if you never do that, that stress like builds and builds and builds and builds and builds. And you start to become very far away from yourself. You start to not feel like yourself. So, how would you, if someone is struggling, similar to your conversation with your son, how would you advise somebody to, not stop thinking that thinking about yourself is selfish, or even the word selfish is not a bad word,
Yeah. Right. I had a conversation with somebody this week. He's an instructor at SoulCycle. He wanted to come in, he took class, and then we took a walk and we sat on a bench. We had a little talk. And my words to him were, greatest thing you could do is coach yourself the way you would coach somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It is that simple. If particularly, I'm a giver, I'm a pleaser in my nature. I've had several bosses in life at SoulCycle, whatever. I've had several partners and other important relationships. And if I'm constantly doing it for them, I will never be done. I will never be done. And my day will never have resolution. I will never have calm. And for me, then I'm passing through my life. I'm not living my life. And again,
say that one more time for the people in the back. You are passing through your life and not living it.
Yeah.
Wow. I feel like there's so many people who I know they're like, oh, that's me.
Yeah.
Deep dive into that.
On every single square that you needed to step on, and you did your little jumps, and you checked every single box, and then suddenly you wake up and you're like, how did this who am I? Where am I? How did this happen? And I'm not saying don't be busy. I say it like this. I chose this busy life. I love my life. And I have to prioritize my mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional self if I want to have impact. Is it because I'm an 8? Maybe. Is it because I'm a mama? I'm a Cancer. I'm a Leo rising. I'm a this, I'm a that. All of those things.
This is all making so much sense.
Yeah. It's all true. And I lovingly accept the responsibility of doing the work to be optimal so that I can have the most impact. And that is my why.
Yeah. I think a lot of times, and tell me what your thoughts are on this. It's so, everything's either internal or external, right? If I don't have the internal validation, I'm going to search for it externally, right? If I'm not getting this internally, I'm going to search for it externally, whatever it may be. And I think if it's easier almost to, rather than focusing on self, because something inside of me is going to say, You're not deserving to focus on yourself, or it's selfish to do that, or whatever these messages are, these hardwired messages that are in our brain, right? I want to circle back to the untraining your brain part, but whatever these messages are telling you, no, don't focus on yourself. It's just easier then for me to, let me just distract myself. Let me try and control this. Let me try and show up for this person. Let me try and do this. Let me try and fix this. Yeah. And it begins to be this like crazy big spider web. And next thing you know, you're like, I don't even remember what self feels like. Who am I?
I know who I am to a whole lot of other people, but who am I really to myself? I lived that for a really long time. And there's probably gory details and there's less gory details. But you're making choices, and you're just showing up. I've loved being independent. I've loved being connected to a broad group of people. I don't just have like, ooh, these are my people only. I'm very open and accepting.
I've never seen you not hug somebody, upon meeting them, even for the first time. Like, hey, it's like you. I feel like I've known you for a million years and we never met, that kind of thing.
It is one of my superpowers, and
It honestly is. You make anybody feel special.
And I think for a long time, I knew I was special too, but I was very dismissive of that, and sort of just like learn to embrace who you are and what makes you special is actually the greatest invitation for somebody else to also be exactly who they are and know that they're special.
Right.
And so that becomes the unlock for me.
And that something just kind of came to me based on what you said. Like, I want to show you, not tell you. So how can I show you how to love yourself? I can love myself, right? I don't have to tell you how to love yourself, but if I show you how it's done, then you're going to learn from me, learn from my actions, and not just from what I'm telling you.
And not just to love me, but also just to love life, And so I think of my son, Aiden, who just graduated. He loves to dance the way that I love to dance. And what a gift to have your son say, oh, you're here in my space. Do you, mom? And like saying do you, mom, means I'm going to get however I'm going to get and dance.
You can do all the dance moves.
I'm going to do all the dancing, not for anything else, but it is my joy. And then for have him sort of like receive that joy, join in, only support and applaud it, and not be like, mom, to take a back seat,
Right. But you're inviting him into your fun, and he can, do what he wants to. But and it's like, I'm going to show you how much joy I'm having in life, right? And one of my favorite phrases is like, hey, how can I make this more fun? That's
I'll tell you what, now that I think about it, like for anybody else who's a pleaser, the greatest lesson of my entire life happened in an instant in a coaching session that I had set up with a relationship therapist, me and my son, Aiden. It was a few years ago. We were having trouble communicating. I thought I knew why. I thought it was because he was, whatever he was doing, using me as a punching bag, blaming me, being ragey, being inappropriate and disrespectful. I thought it was all about him. And we sat in conversation and everybody talked for a second. It was over Zoom. And then this man said, okay, mama, do you want to heal your relationship with your son, or do you want to be right? And I was like, okay, I would like to heal my relationship with my son.
Wow.
And he said, Aiden thinks you don't listen to him. And he's right. And I was like, at first taken aback, because you could probably relate, like teenage anger takes up a lot of space. And so you're kind of like, well, teenage anger, like that doesn't work in my, and it wasn't that. It was that I had become the type of listener where I heard him, but I felt responsible for fixing it, or I felt responsible for explaining it, or I felt responsible for putting myself in perspective so that he would understand me and not.
Mm-hmm.
And none of that mattered. And
Yeah.
I had to just absolutely stop, put everything down, truly let go of all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And learn and practice how to just listen. It's the greatest lesson I ever learned, how to just
Mm-hmm.
listen without then the follow-up of, let me now
Right.
help you. Let me now fix it for you. Let me now tell you, oh, you have these feelings about me, but let me tell you about my feelings about you.
Yeah. Right.
No.
Well,
Simply listen.
and being present, right? Because I really think there's just so much power in being present, right? If you think to all these really big moments in your life, whether they be good or bad, it's like you can still remember them like they're like, yesterday.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's because you're literally forced to be present,
Dropped
right?
in,
I'm
yeah.
taking in this. Yeah. I'm locked into this moment. And even when it comes to, something like listening, it's so funny. I think we put a lot of stress on ourselves. I'm not a helper. I'm not a pleaser, but I am a fixer.
Mm-hmm.
And especially as a coach, I was like, oh, I would be so great at this because I'm already a fixer. And they're like, hey, yeah, actually, that's not your job at all. I'm like, oh, well, there we go. Okay, back to the drawing board, day one. But it's funny when you actually listen, right? You're listening and you're in that moment. You're present. You're actually hearing what they're saying. But then also, like, you're alleviating a lot of that control, control and forcing things. These are all huge manifesting blockers. And even just simply by listening, I'm just listening and I don't know if I have an answer. So I'm not going to force an answer, and I'm going to be here and I'm not going to try and control the situation. I'm going to allow it to be. I'm going to allow myself to be in this moment. And it's okay if I can't fix it.
Yeah. The 3 words that I practice that have ultimately healed and elevated my relationship with my son and so many others. Tell me more. Mom, Oh, okay. Tell me more. Instead of reacting, responding,
right,
fixing, giving my perspective. And then, tell me more, tell me more, tell me more. And then that safety of receiving what he or she or they have to say. Mm-hmm. My next unlock, it truly changed everything in an instant. And like, I also give such great love and respect to my son, Aiden, for he didn't know either how to find his way back to me. And we were in an unhealthy pattern.
Yeah.
And he allowed me to learn. And it doesn't devalue my role as his mother. To me, it expanded my role as his mother, because once again, I'm showing him that human life is a life that forever you're learning, forever you're evolving, forever you're figuring out what to hold on to, what to let go of. Ultimately, hold on to your sense of self, hold on to your center, let go of everything else.
Right. And it's crazy until you literally sit down and spend the time with yourself, how much you hold on to. And sneaky tiny little things of, whoa, I could really let this go,
Yeah.
For me in my life, it's always resonated as approval from others. And I didn't realize how much that was affecting my relationships with others, right? I'm trying so hard to, I would want the approval, and with that comes a fear of confrontation. So I would fix problems that didn't even exist yet for the potential chance that they would maybe exist. And it turns out people don't like that, And so having to change your mindset from, future to, oh, I'm actually in this moment and nothing actually exists yet. Let me just listen. But, I love that phrase, tell me more, because you learn how to do that with other people. And then what about yourself, right? Because it's like, learn how to listen to yourself, because here's the thing is we go through life, we never listen to ourselves. My life changed whenever I started a journal practice, because I don't like to acknowledge feelings much. And so I had to say, today I feel like, you know, and boom. And then if you get stuck, hey self, tell me more. Well, today I feel sad. Tell me more. Well, I feel sad because of this, you know, and I love that.
Yes, Meg. Yeah, that's it. And then again, awareness without judgment is going to be your greatest teacher. Where you go, oh, check it out. I was sad. I was feeling like I need love in my life, whatever it is, allows you to go like, okay, I'm aware of that. And then from there, you can make your next choice instead of just ignoring, spinning, or reacting. One thing that came up for me when you were just sort of describing your patterns there was the word fear. And I think you and I have talked about it before, and it comes up for me because for me, the greatest teacher also is a Post-it note with very simple commands that are relevant for me. I think I spent
You should see what's behind this curtain. Yeah. Post-it notes on the wall.
For a year, my Post-it note on my computer said calm, confident, composed. Because I had a lot of energy, a lot of emotion, very tied to some turmoil that my youngest son was going through, very tied to everybody leaving home, empty nest, lots going on, COVID, new cancer, surgery, all the things. And so I had to imagine myself calm, confident, and composed. That was the only way. That's how I wanted to show up. And so I needed to see those 3 words, and those 3 words were stuck in my head. Right now, what's in my head is on my Post-it is the question: do you need to be heard, helped, or hugged? And it's a reminder in my role and with a lot of people around me, working with me and as colleagues, when they come at me to say, which of those things you need from me? Do you need to be heard? Do you need to be helped? Do you need to be hugged? And I use it with in my relationships with my children, with my fiance, and it kind of goes like, oh, wow, thanks for asking. I just needed to
I'm actually
heard.
Listening. Yeah.
Yeah. I just needed to be heard. I don't need help. And then someone goes like, no, I think I need help.
I want a hug.
And so that
and you're listening rather than rather than going right into just help it mode, fix it mode, you know?
The next trail of Post-its from calm, confident, composed, do you need to be helped, hugged, or heard is my all-time favorite, which is fear or love. At the root of any choice reaction is fear or love. You said, out of a fear of confrontation, I did. And if the root is fear, observe it, don't make that choice.
Yeah. So talk about that, observing your thoughts. Yeah. Keep going. I don't want to.
Well, that's it. So if on the other side, if the root is love, oh, okay, I'm going to take one more step. Foundation is love. I'm going to move. It's the willingness to learn and to observe, to go like, okay, wait, I just need to take a second. Am I making this choice right now out of fear or out of love? No, I'm making it out of fear. I'm making it out of anger. I'm making it out of, or no, this is, I believe this. I'm going to say it. I love it. I'm going to say it.
Yeah. And that's, I love this. This is huge because everything, it really does come down from fear or love, right? You cannot be in fear and in love at the same time. And when it comes to just like an energy standpoint of emotions, right? You always hear this phrase, high vibe. And if you're new to this show, we talk about it all the time, but it's energy, like high vibrational energy. Law of attraction will breed high vibrational energy. And I want to kind of bring in a situation we talked about before, but you know, when you make decisions out of this fear, separating yourself from this, right? And then that comes to taking that time, and you do not have to wait until a big life thing happens, whether it be good or bad. It's like, analyze yourself. And like you said, observe yourself. Okay, this is what I'm thinking. And you're not the creator of your thoughts, right? There's always like a conversation. This comes from Untethered Soul. I'm sure you've read this, but there's like constantly voices in your head, sometimes two, sometimes eight, right? And they're all having a conversation and you are none of them, but you are just the observer of the conversation. Yeah. And with that, you know, when you have all these negative feelings with fear or shame or anger or whatever it might be, you're filled with all this negative, low vibe, negative energy, right? So law of attraction, you get more low vibe energy, you know, and even your brain starts to look for it, right? I'm going to look for ways to support what I already believe. So if I believe I'm fearful or that I don't deserve this or whatever it might be, I'm going to now look for ways to support that. So when you disconnect from your thoughts and you're the observer, right? No, you become present in the moment. And I think it gives you a lot of compassion and grace for yourself, which is a huge high vibrational, you know, energetic shift where it's like, I'm giving myself grace for feeling this way. I accept it. And I know that I was doing this. Oh, I'm doing it again. I'm going to choose a different thought or a different way.
Yes, 100%. And so for me, I go to like, well, what happens for the person that just like, they don't even, what do they even mean? Give myself grace. Like, what do you even like? They're not even playing that game. There's a lot of people. For me, I have to break it down to the simplest thing. And that starts with literally this. Take a Post-it note, write the word fear. Take a Post-it note, write the word love. Take a line, draw it through the word fear, and put those two Post-it notes somewhere that you're going to see it every day. Could be on your medicine cabinet mirror, could be on your closet. And all your job is you look at the Post-it notes, make your brain choose love. You're like, I'm choosing love. And you walk away. The step one.
It's a good one. And anybody can do it. Anybody can do
it. And you don't even have to know what's happening. But I'm telling you, the neuroscience behind it is that you are creating the first pathway to help you in this journey of choosing love, of giving yourself grace, or of, I say, like, not every voice in the head is one that you have to claim as your own. Sometimes it's the voice of my dad. Sometimes it's the voice of my mom. May they both rest in peace. Sometimes it's the voice of spicy, rebellious, fuck y'all me. Sometimes it's the voice of like very pious mommy me. And these are just different thoughts. And so again, it's this observant. I need it to be like, I need to take myself, imagine myself sitting on a shelf in the corner of my room, looking at me, looking at the thoughts, just being aware that it's happening, even if I don't know which thought to choose at the moment. And so I do play those games with myself. I play mental games with myself when there's a lot coming at me. I'll spend 1 minute imagining myself standing there with arrows coming at me, not letting them get me.
Yeah, you're not getting here.
And I might just go like, oh, check it out. Nope. And I might do it for 5 seconds. I might do it for a minute. But
is this where the dancing started?
Yeah, you know, anything to move my body. Evelyn said to me the other day, like, you talk with your hands, you know, you're so expressive.
I love it though, you know,
for sure. I mean, it's just who I am. Yeah.
Yes. And allowing yourself to be yourself, you know, and man, like I'm telling you, I'm a different person, after allowing myself to be, myself, you know, and
unapologetically.
Yes. And it's still, you know, it's not saying, you know, you reach this level where it's like a checkbox, right? Where, you know, if somebody is out there and they're like, well, I am like obsessed with control, or I always feel guilty thinking about myself, or I do live in fear, or I just can't get rid of this anger and non-forgiveness, or whatever the negative emotion is, right? Or these habits that you've created, right? You start observing yourself and you're like, oh, well, I do that a lot. Like, this is kind of who I am, right? And the biggest lie that I see people overcome, honestly, when coaching, but everyone says, well, I can't really change myself. This is just the way I am. And it's like, no. It's like but here's the thing is, you're not going to be able to change yourself until you try, right? And it's that dedication of that constant awareness, like, oh, I'm doing it again. Oh, I'm doing it again. Giving yourself grace, taking yourself into that high vibrational energy of having compassion for yourself, you know, and changing it. I'm not going to do that anymore. And you recreate a new neural pathway, but a new known in your brain.
Yeah, a new known. Exactly. That's it. A new known in your brain. I think that to get a sort of like higher sense of self, you have to acknowledge your human self as well. And so what I mean is the human response to stress or attack is only fear, shame, blame, inadequacy. That's the only thing that's going to happen in your brain when chemically you have been, I mean, it's such a trigger word, but triggered by life, triggered by a comment, triggered by something you saw or heard or felt or experienced. The only thing your human brain will do is go to that place of shame, blame, inadequacy, fear, you know, and it's a survival tactic. And so to understand your humanness, you go like, ooh, I'm activated. Now I need to release a different chemical. I need to be mindful. To be mindful, I need to be aware of my 5 senses. You can only feel them here present. I spend a lot of time going like, ooh, okay. I feel my skin. I feel my pants. I'm very aware. I see colors. Those observations of what your human body is experiencing will now allow that human body to get to a calmer, more grounded state where you now can be observant. And so don't try to be superhuman. Just try to be like really fully human. It's just beautiful.
Allowing yourself to be human. Oh, that's another, like, the art of allowing, right? Allowing yourself to be human.
Just
human,
let's start there.
Not
superhuman. And this is what I say it a lot, Meg, but this is what I know to be true. Me, 1 month away from turning 54 years old. If it's true for me, it can be true for you, period. That's it. Nobody has a lock. Nobody starts too far ahead or too far behind to come to a place of real understanding of their own human self on this earth, in this life, to make it the most well-lived life it can be.
Yeah, that's powerful. When you can truly show up as yourself in your life for yourself. And because you're showing up for yourself does not mean you're not showing up for others. It's showing up for yourself and others, but showing up the best way for others because you are showing up as yourself.
And I show up the best way for the others in my life by showing up for myself and encouraging them not to show up like me, but to show up fully like them. And so then you're just loving and supporting and believing in partnership with another person, not on top of or holding up or something.
Yeah. Well, I have one last question for you. And I'm so curious. We didn't rehearse this, so this is kind of out of left field. You know, I kind of actually love that even more because we're just being really present and allowing the conversation to kind of just go where it is. There's a lot of allowing going on in this podcast. And kind of trickling on that thought of allowing, if somebody is in a hard place in particular, how would you tell them or help guide them or just share what you know to be true about everything works out for your highest good? What do you think about that? Do you believe it? And how would you help somebody who's going through a hard time believe that?
I really do believe that everything is going to work out for the highest good. I don't know that is that forward place of highest good. It's a hard concept for a lot of people. So like, I try to think people that are going through something hard, here's what I know. I too have been through something really hard. And so I think step one is compassion empathy, which means not painting a beautiful silver line around a cloud for them, but really just saying like, I thank you for sharing. I acknowledge how hard this is. And I believe that one moment, one breath, one choice at a time, there is not one thing that you cannot handle in your life. I would try to coach somebody. I said it the other day. Somebody DM'd me. She doesn't live in this country. She knows me through SoulCycle. We've become acquainted. And she told me that she is going through a really hard medical time. It's too much. Well, again, this woman has been through a lot. And I said, oh, well, thank you for sharing. I said, the harder it gets, the closer get to one moment. Because if all you need to do is take one breath, you have everything you need to take one breath. And if all you need to do is get through one moment, you can get through one moment. That's how we stack. Slow, pull time closer to you. And then just start celebrating the fact that you did make it through this hour, the next hour. And so I think it really just sort of depends on the situation. It's a blessing in some ways that I have been through a lot in a lot of ways through my life, whether death or disease or divorce or mental illness or physical illness or addiction. There's a lot. I've had a lot of experience. I'm grateful for every single piece of it. I just fundamentally believe that each one of us in this human life can do anything one little step at a time. I don't know if I believe in fate. I don't know if I believe, I don't know. And it's all going to work out. It is, but it's not going to work out unless you also take some part in it. And I would always encourage people not to just feel the shame and the blame and the resentment and the woe is me, or it's all too much, because it's not. And I don't mind using strong energy to show that to the world. And at the same time, I know that for some people that's going to be harder. For some people, the wounds go deeper. I will still forever believe in the possibility. I think does it take practice to be an optimist? I certainly have had a lot of practice. I think I had a lot of my optimism was just me numbing myself and being like, oh, cool, everything's fine. It's just not where I am right now. I have let that go. And I truly, Meg, believe deeply that if it's available for me, it's available for absolutely anybody.
Yeah, I think.
And at the same time, don't discount the own work that I've done, because I've done a lot of work. And so I do feel really proud of it.
Yes. And I think that's a huge, you're absolutely right. It's available to everybody, right? Anybody. There, endless resources out there, but even just starting with yourself, even I love starting with a gratitude practice. I do not get out of bed until I say 3 things that I'm grateful for, and in the moment too, of this is what I'm grateful for right now, kind of present gratitude. But that's something that anybody can do. And it's not going to change the situation. Right. I'll put air quotes around that, but it's going to shift it, It
is. And it's a practice. And so there is no quick fix, even though I do believe higher learning is available in an instant to anybody. Realization can wash over you. I do informal and formal gratitude practice as well every morning. It's often in the morning, just I love my bed so much. I love my sheets. I love where I'm so comfortable when I wake up, and I'm always super grateful for that. Buy our coffee. We now have a journal, and it's a gratitude journal, and it has 3 spots. And I fill it out. Jessica fills it out. If we have house guests, I ask them to fill it out.
Oh, I love that.
And it's just there by the coffee. And it's the price of coffee is to write down 3 things you're grateful for.
Oh, I love that. And that really is such a game changer and a great place to start, for if you're wanting to be, because honestly, it's so introspective, but external at the same time, right? I'm appreciative of myself, but I'm also appreciative of everything outside of me and available to me. But man, that's an awesome cost of coffee. Definitely cheaper than Starbucks, that's for sure.
It is.
So, oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. I mean, just endless wisdom. Every time I'm around you, I feel like, even right now, I just feel like an energetic hug, so you've just been very influential and inspirational in my life. So I'm glad to share that with my listeners. So
thank you.
Any lasting thoughts that you want to leave us with?
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you for inviting me to be on this. I'm just so happy to be in conversation with you. I feel proud of you. I feel inspired by you. And I love that all the choices that you're making, what you're doing, in your own life. So I love that. We talked about it briefly, for 10 years more. From 12 years ago is when I was first diagnosed with cancer. And someone said to me, like, I wish you'd already written a book, because like, then you could put all your wisdom out there. And Jessica, my fiance, is an endurance athlete. And so she has a community of people that she'll meet up with sometimes who like to do those things with her. They go on really long bike rides. And I was sort of thinking, like, what's my outside of work passion, and who are my people? And I joined a writing circle, and I took a class on how to write a memoir. And so I am just in the beginning, early stages of writing essentially like, here's what I know to be true, kind of memoir story of my life and my experiences. And so we'll see what comes out of that.
That's so exciting.
Should I write that book?
Yeah. Oh my God. I mean, even in these podcasts, there's like so many nuggets. And honestly, if you're ever in New York, you have to take Melanie's class, or just go give her a hug. She'll clearly give you a hug whenever you want. But just even to feel the energy. So 1,000%, I think you should write that book. Okay. I will read it. And obviously, when it comes out, we'll add the tag for that as well, and promote it to everybody, because you just have such an amazing story, and stories, I guess I should say. Yeah. And you've learned so much from that. And I just want to thank you for, there's a lot of hard things that you have been through, and a lot of hard things that other people, similar to what they'll go through. And thank you for learning the lessons, for showing up, for doing that hard work, so you can inspire others to do it too. Because honestly, I do believe there's just so much power in that. And you said the word possibility, which I love, right? I'm a Enneagram 7, so I'm the eternal optimist for sure. But possibility, right? Like, nothing's happened yet. It's like, yeah, you are who you are, but you've only been who you are until this moment. The possibility of what's to come, an outcome, right? Even an uncertain outcome, or an unlikely outcome. It's like anything can happen. So thank you for being such an advocate for that. And I mean, that just helps people just beyond what you know. Yeah. So
thanks, Meg.
Oh my God. Well, okay. Actually, the way I end this podcast every time, it's actually, you might recognize it from my SoulCycle email signature. I love to say it out loud with guests. It's just, expect good things always, and they will happen. So if that aligns with you, which I'm pretty sure it does, we can say it together.
Yeah.
So, all right. You got it?
Okay, I got it.
One. Okay, good. 1, 2, 3.
Expect good things.
Good things always.
Always.
And they will happen. They will happen. Ooh, I like that. I like that emphasis. They will happen. So, well, thanks for tuning in, and we will talk to you all later.
Bye, Meg. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.